In every dark corner of this world, mysteries and secrets go without saying. Creatures from another realm. Or sights that leave you shocked to the bone. There's always something more scary and more weird waiting to be discovered. So stick around to see these anomalies that no one could believe. Sewers are usually home to rats, cockroaches, and other small animals. But one surveillance camera caught something that will make you question what's hidden beneath our cities. A massive creature appeared on the screen. Its body was covered in sharp spikes, and its head had a strange hump. But the most terrifying part? Its mouth, 2 of them, with one submerged in the dirty water. Even a sticky fluid was dripping from around its jaws, making it look more frightening. But why has no one ever seen this thing before? Let's hope no janitor ever comes across it. Skebby Sighting. A fisherman was out by the shore, hoping to catch a big fish. As he waited, he saw strange ripples in the water. Thinking it might be a huge fish, he moved closer. But what came out wasn't a fish at all. It was a creepy creature with a long, pointed head. Its mouth was wide, full of sharp teeth. Its body was slimy and had sections, looking like a mix of a reptile and something from the sea. People started talking about it. Some said it was a skinwalker, a shapeshifter from old stories. No one knows what it really was, but the fishermen stayed away from that spot. Sewer robot encounter. In the city's sewer system, maintenance robots patrol to spot things hidden from people. One night, Robot 234 noticed movement near a corner. When its camera turned, glowing eyes appeared, staring right at it. The figure was partly visible, with long limbs moving strangely. It stopped for a moment, almost like it was watching the robot. Just as the robot tried to get a better look, the figure slipped into the shadows and vanished. The footage caused a lot of talk. Some say it was a creature that somehow lived in the sewers, hiding away from everyone. Demonic entity. Next time you decide to explore an abandoned place, think twice. You might run into something like what happened to this man in the countryside. While he was wandering through an old house, he saw something that froze him in place. A red face peeked at him from behind a wall. It looked like it had come straight out of a scary story. Its skin dark red, almost like it had been burned. The man quickly remembered the tales of fire spirits called ifrits. Could he be seeing one? Without wasting another second, he ran out of there. Who could blame him? No one wants to stick around creatures like that. Octopus-like creature. A farmer in Brazil made a strange discovery when he found a squid-like creature in a large, muddy hole. At first, he thought it was an octopus, but when he looked closer, he saw it had long, twisted tentacles and big eyes staring right at him. The tentacles were covered in small spikes, making the creature look even stranger. The farmer was left wondering what kind of creature he had found, because it didn't look like anything he had seen before. Troll in the cave. What started as a simple insect observation quickly turned into a shocking discovery. The camera was recording the inside of the cave when it caught a creature lurking in the shadows. The sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the cave before a massive figure emerged. Covered in rough fur, the creature had a wide face and a pointy nose. Its hunched back and muscular frame made it look like a troll straight out of legend. As soon as it noticed the camera, it charged forward, and the video cut off abruptly. Locals believe that trolls turn to stone when exposed to sunlight. Perhaps this creature was desperate to stay hidden, fearing the light would seal its fate forever in stone. Mysterious of Kandahar.
Yakınlaştıralım arkadaşlar. Aman yarabbi gözlerine bakın.
Have you ever heard about the giants of Kandahar? During the war, soldiers claim to have seen strange creatures. One woman had a similar experience. While visiting the caves of Kandahar, she got lost and accidentally entered a restricted area. As she turned a corner, she spotted a creature sneaking behind a rock.
Yakınlaştıralım arkadaşlar. Aman yarabbi gözlerine bakın.
It had a bald head and scary eyes. Some believe it was a reptilian or jinn, while others think it might have been a reptoid, a mix of human and reptile. Inunaki Tunnel Mystery. When this guy decided to visit Japan's haunted Kyushu's Inunaki Tunnel, also known as the Dog Cry Tunnel, he had no idea what was coming his way. Even though the tunnel was closed, he managed to peek inside. As he stood there, he suddenly heard a dog barking. He panned the camera, but didn't notice anything at first. Later, when he reviewed the footage, he got really scared. A figure was moving on the other side of the tunnel, unnoticed at the time. The tunnel has been closed off due to cave-ins and falling rocks, but some think that's just an excuse to cover up something. More paranormal. Restricted cave. A couple was exploring when they found a cave. It was blocked from the inside, but there were no signs warning them to stay out. Curious about what might be hidden, they decided to sneak in. As they moved deeper, they noticed something in the shadows. Suddenly, it stirred. Eyes glowed in the dark, and they quickly rushed out. Now they understood why the cave was sealed. It's best not to disturb whatever lives there, creatures with powers far beyond what humans can handle. Human-spider hybrid. In 2018, a man was hiking with his family in a quiet forest in Mexico. Everything seemed normal until he heard faint, strange noises coming from deep. So, he decided to investigate. As he moved closer to the source of the sounds, he noticed something unusual. At first, it seemed like an ordinary spider, but later he realized it was far from normal. Its body had long, spindly legs, but its head looked oddly human. A hard, shell-like structure covered its back, making it even more unsettling. The creature stared at him for a moment, then quickly rushed into a cave. After that scary encounter, the man probably didn't dare to go any further. Giant earthworm discovery. In Glenmore Park, Texas, a homeowner was pretty confused when his lawn started wilting. The grass turned brown, and the plants didn't look too good. So, he decided to check things out. And guess what he found? A giant earthworm, wider than the road, hiding beneath the soil. It had made the lawn its home, creating tunnels and eating up the plant roots. He had to put a lot of effort into getting rid of it. So, if you ever notice your lawn turning brown, be careful. You never know what might be lurking underneath. Giant spider sighting. In the shadowy depths of Papua New Guinea, a daring traveler explored ancient, mist-covered caves. As he moved deeper, he spotted it. A giant spider. Its legs stretched out far longer than any spider he had seen. It was unlike anything he expected. It looked like the Jabba Fofi, with legs as long as 5 feet. The creature moved swiftly, vanishing into the dark. It made him wonder, could there be more of these giants hidden in the caves? Abandoned building entity. A group of friends decided to explore a neighborhood of abandoned buildings in a remote area. Brave enough to do it at night, they only had their flashlights to guide them. As they moved through the dark, they noticed 2 round lights moving behind a wall. So, they carefully made their way to the other side. And then, out of the shadows, a figure appeared. It was all black, and suddenly, they realized those 2 round lights they had seen earlier were its eyes. They didn't waste any time. After that, fearing it might charge, they ran. It clearly didn't like visitors in its home. Sewer discovery.
I don't know what kind of worms those are or what, but yep.
Authorities monitoring the sewer were in for a shock. They ran a camera through the pipes, expecting to see nothing more than clumps of dirt, or maybe some roots. But what they found was way stranger. On the screen, a huge pile of pinkish, wriggling creatures appeared. They were worms, sludge worms to be exact.
Yep. I don't know what kind of worms those are.
The presence of these creatures wasn't just weird, it was a sign. These worms only show up when there's a high level of water pollution. It indicated that the sewer was too polluted and needed cleaning. Otherworldly being. In the quiet woods, a man with a camera slowly approached a tree, unaware of what was hiding behind it. As he got closer, something strange happened. A creature peeked out from between the branches. For just a second, its face was visible. Those huge, dark eyes staring directly at the camera. It looked like an alien gray, with a big head, a thin body, and those black eyes that seemed to be curious about the guy. Could this have been an alien from another world? And if it was, why had it been there, all alone, standing in the middle of the night? Drain pipe flesh. A plumber was just doing his usual job, cleaning out a drainage pipe, when he got a shock. As he opened it up, a reddish-brown mass started falling out. At first, he thought it was flesh, but when he looked closer, he realized those weren't pieces of flesh. They were giant worms. Half of the wriggling mass dropped to the floor, while the rest clung to the inside of the pipe. These were way bigger than any earthworms he'd ever seen, and they'd clearly made the dark, damp pipe their home. It was the kind of sight that would give anyone nightmares. So next time you're dealing with your pipes, make sure to check. Who knows what might be waiting inside? Spider-infested cave. A group of friends were roaming through the forest when they stumbled upon a cave. Curious, they decided to go inside. But as they looked around, they got really scared. Creepy clusters of spiders were everywhere, clinging to the ceiling. And the walls? They were covered in strange scratches. The friends wondered, had the spiders made those marks? If these spiders could do this to strong walls, what could they do to humans? It was enough to make them rethink their decision to enter. Hiding in drain. Think your plumbing problems are bad? Wait till you hear about this. In 2016, a Florida resident heard strange hissing noises coming from a drain. When he peered inside, 2 glowing eyes stared back at him. To his shock, an 8-foot alligator had made the pipeline its home. But the scaly visitor wasn't alone. Right in front of it sat a bright green ball, as if the gator had found an unusual toy to play with in the narrow space. Hopefully, the reptile was removed, solving not only the sewer problem, but also making sure that nobody would have to deal with this scaly surprise again. Abandoned tunnel figure. A man entered an abandoned tunnel, unaware of what awaited him. At first, the tunnel appeared empty and quiet, but then he noticed something strange. A movement. In the dim light, he saw a semi-transparent figure. It looked like a tall human, but something about it felt off, as if it wasn't fully there. He stared, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. Was it a ghost or a spirit? Odd objects. You might expect skulls, or maybe treasure if you're lucky while digging through the mud. But this worker wasn't prepared for what he found. As he dug, he came across odd things scattered throughout the mud, things he'd never seen before. Curious, he picked one up. It had a few ants crawling on it, making him wonder, could these be parts of bones, decomposed into fragments over time? Whatever they were, they definitely weren't what he expected to find. Demonic dwarf. Miners were doing their usual work when they noticed something moving at the dark end of the mine. It looked like a demonic dwarf. One of the miners, trying to scare it away, threw some sand at it. But when he touched it, he quickly realized this wasn't like any creature he'd ever seen before. His mood shifted instantly. He started asking the dwarf to leave. And finally, after a brief moment, it slowly faded into the shadows. The group stood there, confused and wondering how it had appeared, and why it disappeared just as quickly. Glowing yogi encounter. A group of teenagers were out exploring and stumbled across this cave. As they went in, they noticed this beam of light shining from one side. The closer they got, the brighter it got, until they saw a glowing yogi just sitting there. It was like nothing they'd ever seen before. The yogi was just quietly speaking to itself, not even bothered by them. But here's the freaky part. After the video went viral, both the yogi and the boys were gone. Just like that. It almost seemed like they disturbed him while he was performing some kind of ritual. It wasn't just a chance encounter. Maybe they got punished for interrupting him. Snake nest discovery. A guy working at Amazon never expected to encounter something so unusual. While organizing a shipment, he reached into a small hole and pulled out a black creature. To his shock, there were hundreds more inside. An odd cluster. These were baby snakes coiled together in a nest, each one a miniature miracle, representing the promise of a new generation in the wild. But disturbing a nest like this is risky, as the mother snake could appear at any moment to protect her young. Sometimes, nature's wonders are best admired from a safe distance. Chameleon-like creature. A group of friends was walking by a lake when they noticed a strange green light reflecting off the bridge. Curious, they moved closer, and what they saw left them stunned. Sitting on the bridge was a creature that looked like a giant chameleon. Its scaly skin shimmered under the light, and a hump on its head gave it an even more unusual appearance. The creature's big, round eyes and thin legs made it seem like it belonged to another world. It sat perfectly still, only moving its head slightly, as if hoping the friends wouldn't notice it. Lakes and bridges often hide surprising animals, and sometimes the most extraordinary creatures are right there, hidden in plain sight. Possession in the cave. A creepy video showed two miners inside a dark cave. but something was clearly wrong. One of the men stood completely still, frozen in place. His eyes were open, but he wasn't moving at all. The leader of the group pointed toward a shadowy tunnel where something seemed to be lurking with the possessed man's eye focused on it. Soon, the leader began performing a ritual and slowly approached the frozen man. He gently placed a hand over the man's eyes, as if trying to break a spell. Moments later, the man collapsed, unconscious, released from whatever had gripped him. What had caused this scary possession deep within the cave? Eyes in the cave. In July 2016, a group of friends was exploring a cave when they spotted something strange. They focused on a dark crevice and saw a pair of small eyes staring back at them. They quickly pulled back as they realized the eyes were moving. Some viewers thought it was a mysterious creature, while others guessed it could have been a fox or raccoon. The group realized they might want to be careful if they ever return, as they don't exactly know what it really was. Underground demon encounter. Some adventures are about more than just thrill. This adventurer was exploring a cave when he spotted an opening where a creature was watching him. What was strange was that it was upside down. It seemed like the creature lived underground. The reason behind odd behavior? Maybe it was trying to protect its territory from people, but no one can be sure of its reasons. Demons and creatures from the underworld often follow their own rules, and those rules might not care about humans. Tentacled creature. Security officials were stunned while reviewing footage from a sewer in Sparta, NC. The video showed an odd creature with hundreds of tentacles, all moving together. It was a terrifying sight. A similar event happened when a man noticed strange creatures in his aquarium. Instead of tentacles, the creature had hundreds of tiny worms. The worms were so small, you could hardly see them with your eyes. They were only about 1 millimeter long and looked like threads. Could they be a new tiny creature? No one knows for sure, but the strange sightings have left people wondering. Hairy monster. Cameras often catch things we can't see, but sometimes they don't show the whole picture. One night, a robot in a sewer spotted something strange. It looked like a giant, hairy monster that started pulsing. Viewers were left confused about what it could be. But later, the mystery was solved. It turned out to be a tubifex worm colony, moving together in a way that made it look much bigger than it really was. Mutant sewer creature. Hidden under the streets of London are tunnels and sewers that carry waste from the homes, but they also hide secrets. Lately, people had been noticing strange, huge ripples in the water down there. It was odd enough that workers were sent to check it out. When they arrived, they found the cause. A massive creature with strange bumps and odd-looking appendages was lurking in the sewer. At first, people called it a slug, but it didn't really look like one. Some think it might have mutated from living in the polluted water for too long. Tunnel visitor. This guy decided to test his courage and stepped into a dark, abandoned tunnel, not knowing what he was about to face. As he got closer to the entrance, he saw something move. At first, he thought it was just a spider. But as he approached, he realized how wrong he was. There, in the dark, stood a shadowy figure with a creature-like face, almost as if inviting him inside. He didn't think twice. He turned around and rushed out. It's always better to leave before they make the next move. Cave creatures encounter. Deep caves hide life, unlike anything we see on the surface. One explorer ventured too far into a cave and got a shock. As he went deeper, he suddenly noticed odd red lights around him. Then, he realized those lights were eyes that belonged to strange creatures unseen by the world above. Not just one or two, but many. Their bodies were translucent, glowing faintly in the dark with eyes, perfectly adapted to the dark, staring at him with curiosity. Each creature was evolved to survive in this hidden world, far from human sight. Voodoo doll. Sometimes, curiosity leads us to things we were never meant to see. One man, exploring a remote island, stumbled upon something strange. He spotted an odd figure hanging upside down. As he got closer, he realized it was a voodoo doll. The moment he understood what it was, he was shocked. The doll's head looked like it was made of glass. Voodoo dolls are often tied to dark rituals, and people say they shouldn't be touched. But what if this one was representing a person? One can only wonder. Cave lion sighting. A strange sighting in a cave in Oriental Mindoro has everyone talking. Tourists reported seeing a creature they couldn't identify. Some believe it was a cave lion, an animal thought to have gone extinct over 13,000 years ago. What made it even more mysterious? The cave was off limits to the public. Could it be that authorities already knew about the creature hiding there? Evidence shows that ancient humans hunted cave lions, possibly for their fur, which might have led to their disappearance. But what if they're still out there, hiding in places we can't see? Maybe the truth is being kept from the public for a reason. Construction oddity. A guy from his apartment noticed something odd in a building that was still under construction. He zoomed in, and that's when he saw it. A figure standing against the wall, its arms unusually long, like nothing human. Before he could take another look, the figure moved, disappearing to the other side. Maybe it knew it was being watched, and it didn't want to be seen by the world. You never know what could happen in places like that. Deserted area encounter. A new mine worker made a mistake one day. He wandered into a deserted area nearby, all alone, searching for a way out. As he looked around, he spotted something. At first, he thought it was his colleague, but when he looked closer, he was shocked. It wasn't his friend. The figure was crawling on the ground, covered in mud. He couldn't shake the thought. Had he just seen the ghost of an old worker who'd lost his life there? There were stories about this place, that the spirit of the worker roams to stop others from working. Maybe he had just crossed paths with him. Buried head. A worker was digging deep at the bottom of a shaft when he stumbled upon something strange. He felt a hard object buried beneath the sand, and, curious, brushed it away with his foot. That's when he saw it. A huge head with sharp teeth. At first, he thought it might be an alligator, but this mouth? It was way too big for any animal he knew. As he cleared away more dirt, it looked like a dragon's head. How in the world did a dragon end up buried so deep? Could this be proof that dragons once roamed the earth? Bat encounter. An explorer ventured into a cave discovered in 2015 in Abanda, Ogooué Maritime, Gabon, filled with bats. As he moved further inside, the bats scattered, flying off into the darkness. But one remained in place. Upon closer inspection, he noticed it was a bent-winged bat, but it didn't even try to leave the place, as if it already knew its fate. Maybe it was a new species, or maybe it was even a mutant. Cemetery mystery. A newly appointed guard at a cremation cemetery was shocked when he heard an odd noise late at night. Curious, he went to investigate and found a body inside, stiff and unnaturally still. The eyes were open, glowing as they reflected his flashlight. It was an unsettling sight. Some say it was a man who never accepted his fate, and now he roams the cemetery, trapped in his disbelief. Mysterious goat creature. People had witnessed strange animals hiding in a place where hardly anyone ever goes. A video recently surfaced showing one of these creatures. The scene revealed a big, goat-like animal with huge horns that had been seen near a cave many times. Its horns curled back in an almost unnatural way, and it had long, sharp claws that made it look incredibly strong. People who had seen it were left wondering what exactly it was. No one ever managed to capture it though, as these creatures live in areas beyond human reach, places no one dares to venture. Animal pretend play. A man passing by a dirt pile noticed stiff and blackened little hands sticking out. He touched it, wondering what it could be, but when the creature revealed itself, he got a big scare. It turned out to be an armadillo, pretending to be lifeless. It was sleeping and got annoyed at being disturbed. It flipped onto its belly and covered itself with dirt, blending back into the earth. It is their survival tactic to regulate their body temperature and protect themselves from predators. Alien artifact discovery. Mexican authorities have revealed something incredible, evidence that aliens might have interacted with our ancestors. While researchers were exploring a cave, they stumbled upon an unexpected artifact. It was a figure shaped like a human, but its head was strange, almost otherworldly. In its hand, it held something that added to the mystery. Could it be an alien mummy? Maybe aliens visited Earth centuries ago, leaving behind clues like this one. Strange carvings. An adventurer had wandered deep into the heart of ancient caves, unsure of what he might uncover. As he moved deeper, he realized the cave was filled with carvings depicting scenes from Greek mythology. But there was a strange feeling about them. The carvings, dating back to the 1600s, showed a face, human-like, with a single eye in the center of its forehead. But what had it been left here to warn against? Witch marks protection.
It could be witches, but it probably includes evil spirits, demons, that kind of thing.
For thousands of years, people have left their marks at Creswell Crags. Inside the caves, you'll find ancient Ice Age art. But there's something darker too. Researchers found a chamber completely covered in witch marks, symbols meant to ward off evil. A few hundred years ago, people left their fears etched into the walls. These marks were made to protect people from witches, demons, and spirits, especially during tough times like poor harvests or sickness. For a long time, they were thought to be nothing more than graffiti. But when two cavers discovered their true meaning, everything changed. The villagers believed evil spirits might rise from the caves, so these marks were meant to trap them. These weren't just drawings, they were protective shields. Alien chamber discovery. The Pyramid of Giza, the oldest of the Seven Wonders and the only one still mostly intact, has surprised researchers once again. Archaeologists recently uncovered a hidden chamber deep inside the pyramid. They found towering statues. The statues had alien-like features, carved and decorated with strange designs. But it didn't stop there. Along with the statues, they found mummies inside sealed tombs. These were preserved using a technique no one can explain. Something far beyond what ancient Egyptians knew. It can be said that it was proof of ancient contact with beings from another world. Now it's time for today's open discussion. In 2009, a video surfaced from a North Carolina sewer. It showed a mysterious, pulsating mass clinging to the sewer walls. The blob expanded and contracted rhythmically, almost as if it were breathing. Some viewers were quick to speculate. It could be an alien. Others thought it might just be a giant clump of worms, all stuck together, creating a creepy effect on camera. Thank you very much for watching the video. Do like it and share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to not miss any of the upcoming amazing videos. Thank you once again.